And on YouTube, there is always a delay, so we will have to. And on YouTube, there is always a delay, so we will have to. There we go. We are on YouTube, live on YouTube. So I'm going to hide this YouTube so we can see each other on Zoom, but we are here in the live section. So just one more thing. So hello, everyone. We have for now 2 people here. Can you just let us know if you can hear us and if we are seen? I would appreciate. Let me know, please. Oh, hi, Eva. Oh, you're nice to see us all. Can you hear us as well? Eva, are we okay? Can you guys say something?
Hello.
Hello.
Eva, can you hear us? Let us know. Okay, so I'm going to hide this. Yes. Oh, hi, Jessica. Okay, we are heard and we are seen. So let me start. Welcome to Inspired Tarot Map. And in this session, we are going to catch up with Martin and Teresina, the creators of the Fifth Tarot. And Teresina, from what I saw on your website, you are a visionary artist and you work as an intuitive as well. And Martin, I read that you're an energy healer and aromatherapist, which I'm like, ooh, I want to pick your brains on aromatherapy. Because that also is a part of the Fifth Tarot that I loved, the addition of the essential oils. So 2 of you are a marriage. Are you married?
Yes.
Yes, we
Yes.
are.
You are a married. You are a couple, and you have created this amazing deck, and it doesn't age. And because it doesn't age, and I used to be a new age queen, then I went through the, a bit of a shame. Oh my God, new age. Then now you're kind of balancing all of this with, okay, there were good things in new age, and there were also like evasive and glamorous things in new age, but we can't just throw everything out. And I thought, do I still love this deck? And after so many years, I got it in 2010. I thought, this deck doesn't age. Like right now, we are going again through this humongous transition, and your deck serves me as a like wonderful guidance, and it's very helpful to have cards like this for me to use. So thank you so much for creating this, and welcome to Inspired Tarot Map.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Our joy to be here.
And I thought we are going to start with a love story because somehow at the end of the book, I was just like scrolling through it and I saw that you, Teresina, wrote even a book about it, maybe Peaceful Moon. I know it's not available anymore and things change, etc. But I was just intrigued about 2 of you meeting. And if you can share, how did you meet? What was the short version of your meeting? I would really appreciate.
Yeah.
So if I was living in Canada, and in December I got this message through meditation, and then in January I saw that there was this conference. Short or long story short, I called. I said, "What is this about scholarship?" And they said, "Oh, you've got it." And I go like, "Whoa, that was easy." And I said, "So that means I can come?" They said, "Yes, you can come." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And that was the first gift. So I was really helped to go there.
And Martin was living in Calgary in Canada at that time. The conference was in Mexico. I was living in Wisconsin, a single mom, and in a similar way, someone sponsored me to go to this conference. And so we met in Mexico. The conference was a lot about the Mayan prophecy at that time and sacred sites and a lot of ceremony. So we were at Chichen Itza. We had not really met each other at that point. And we were doing a ceremony at the main temple pyramid at Chichen Itza. And in my experience, I dropped to the ground and was doing a rebirthing of the sacred feminine. At his experience, he drops to the ground. He's doing his experience with the sacred masculine, neither of us aware of each other doing this. In the end, we both sit up, we're facing each other, our hands together, our feet together, these two people over us, and the Mayan elder comes by and says, "It's so nice to see twin flames reunite."
That's
And
it.
that was the stimulus for inspiration for the Lover's card.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. I thought like, oh yeah, I remember this image.
Yeah. And as Teresina told it, there were parts of it that led up to us having that ceremony, but it was really created in such a magical way, and it has stayed that way. Also, Teresina got the message to create a tarot deck at some point, and she says, "Who? Me? What? Why? There are hundreds of tarot decks. Why a new tarot deck?"
Yeah, do we really need one more tarot deck? And
Yeah.
the guidance that came through was, we are evolving in consciousness, and the tools that we work with need to evolve with us. And so that was really the guidance and the direction in creating the fifth tarot, was to working with the foundation of the tarot, but evolving, spiraling up with the archetypes and expanding it to include the fifth element.
Yeah. Oh, we are sorry, like just briefly back to the love story. Like from simple human perspective, like did you know straight away, like you meet, like you finally like see each other, you like how was it like? Was it like, oh yeah, we in love now? Or like how long are you married now? Like
we are married for 26 years. We got married 3 days after we met, because there was another ceremony that followed, and it was just it was just
that was something out of this world, truly out of this world, with all kinds of magical things. It was in the middle of the night, and let's just say we were not alone. There were a lot of beings with us, and it felt astounding. After that, we got also married in front of the law and all these other things, but that first one still is our magical time of coming together. Yes.
So what's your advice to us mere humans to have a successful relationship? Can you think of something?
Well,
like, I know
yes,
I put you on the spot, but yeah.
That's actually the Lover's card. If you would hold that back up.
Yeah. Coming up.
Because for both of us, we had been in other relationships before that, but it really comes to self-love first, loving yourself first. So on the card you're showing there, there's kind of 3 orbs of light, and they represent self-love, love of another, and love of whatever your concept of the divine is. And those 3 in alignment and in balance. If I'm only in self-love, I can be rather narcissistic. If I'm only in loving another person, I can give myself away. If I'm only loving whatever that concept of the divine is, we're not grounded here on the earth. So that balance of love in its completeness is what, for us, is behind a successful relationship.
And,
yeah, wow.
And listening to your inner voice. And that is, of course, one of the hardest things, because some people say, oh, my inner voice leads me astray. Well, we get that, and that can happen too. The thing is, when it's your truth, the true essence of who and what you are aligning with your divine, and those parts aligned, then what follows is always simply magic. And for us, that part, some people say, when did the magic stop? When you stopped to look and or to listen and or to really reach and state that today is a magical day. I thank this day. And so, we still do our essential prayers for stepping into a wonderful day every day.
Yeah. So if you argue or something, does it happen that you argue?
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have like Is it easy to say sorry? You don't go through like silent days and stuff like, do you have like supportive, communicative way of like connecting after those arguments?
Just to state that I had to learn definitely a longer time than this wonderful being. I learned from her compassion still every day. And of course, one has to be open. And the beautiful part with us both being also energy workers, we work a lot with shamanic traditions, also worked with a lot of shamanic people in the Mayan lands and in North America. And through all those things, we still work with each other. If there's something going on, we say, wow, I really, like you were before saying, I feel the energy's totally being off for me. Let's align that so that we align ourselves with the truth that we choose to follow.
Yeah, that's really important. And I think starting with the self-love, it's so important because there's so many mismatched relationships when people either get, like you said, into codependency and like when this lacks as a basis and then you develop the rest. But all these layers are very important. But I think, yeah, you've got to start with this. Otherwise, you're constantly like just wanting and it can never be fully filled, right? Okay, well, love stories. I'm married. I was married in 2014, and not even a year after I met my husband. And it was also very a funny story just because we both were living abroad. And I came on holidays from Australia for a month, and he came for holidays for 5 days. And we met during his 5 days and my month. And then he was just coming, maybe like I went once to London where I bought your deck. That's why I asked about the love story, because to me, it is a little bit involved with this deck, because we went to this shop in London and I saw this deck and it was our second date or something. And yeah, and this deck just, came to Australia. That's when I mostly used it.
Well, if I might kind of segue in from the love story into the creation of the deck. When we created the deck, I did all the artwork for it, and that mainly came through dreams and meditations. Martin did all the writing, which came through his guided writing. And the beautiful part about that it was this woven dance of the masculine and the feminine. In other words, somebody didn't draw it and then interpret what it meant, or somebody didn't write it and say, now draw this. It was really this weave of the masculine and feminine. I think that does come through in the cards as well.
And then they weren't necessarily written or drawn in sequence. They were written and drawn when they called to be present. So, for instance, one day I'm sitting and I had still time, 2 days that I didn't write anything. And a hummingbird flies into the patio door, into the window, and it dies. And Teresina carries it to me and she says, wow, what a gift, what a present. And I said, I get that, but I'm such a bird nut. It was hard for me. And it took me several days to really come to the peace that card represents, but also the gift in that piece of giving of oneself. And so cards like that, and for instance, cards that are of any type, Teresina would sit with either the flower or the stone or the shell and would work with them, again, shamanically, but also other things would occur with certain cards. So, for instance, with the Tower card, I can hold it up, but then the viewers can't necessarily see it. In the Tower card, it was so astounding. You were putting a book back on the shelf. And so she's like this, putting a book back on the shelf. The whole shelf came off the wall. It was an 8 foot by...
It was a complete wall.
Complete wall shelf with books. And this little angel from the top of the shell hit her like, poof, right on the top of her head. And things like that. The top of the head, like there on the card, it's, for us, the Tower card is a moment of awakening, of seeing that we are inside the tower. And when we let go of these perceived truths that are actually binding us, old thought forms and we let go of them, the whole tower falls away. And we can empower ourselves by being in this crystalline structure, which we call upon every night, which is our structure in which we rejuvenate, our rejuvenation chamber. So all those things are part of these cards. All these energies are part of these cards. And that's another aspect, Kasia, that we have been so pleased with. In the first year when the deck was out, we traveled to 29 states and 3 countries, and I don't know how many meetup groups. We met so many lovely, lovely, wonderful people on that trip. But some people, owners of shops, would come running and go like, what is this energy I'm feeling? And they would come and they would feel the energy that was brought in. And so we're not making this up. And we talked about, before the viewers came on, about New Age. You know, every day is new. Every day we learn anew. And none of this is fluffy, because we both know that being a person that chooses to live a life of peace, tranquility, it's not always easy, because other people don't understand it, don't necessarily understand that you choose to sometimes retreat into that peace, you know, just to get answers.
Like going back to the creation of the tarot, because it came out, what year?
2009.
2009. So it was like kind of before the 2012, right? When there was just like a lot of energies coming up. And I think back then the humanity went through a big energetic shift and kind of, I don't know, upload, change, transformation. And right now, since 2020, I think we can somehow compare these energies, because it seems to be, we seem to be going through another like huge shift. And the deck, as I mentioned, to me at least, it hasn't aged. It's really helpful. It was helpful back then, and you would have thought, oh, maybe, you know, it will age, because a lot of things from that time, now it seems like another era, really, because time seems to speeding up so much, aged, like, and you just don't use them anymore, or, you know. But this deck, it has like a very potent essence, and to me, like, it hasn't aged, and it's still as valid as it was back then. It's still valid now, because I think it's elemental. It connects all the elements that are present at all times, everywhere. So this tarot, and for people who don't know it, it's called Fifth Tarot because it has an additional suit. So tarot deck is contains 78 cards usually, but your deck has 92 cards, right? And you, in general, I thought like, this is like, oh, thank you for being a visionary, like visionaries back then, because, you know, it's a long time ago. And to create something that lives and still keeps living and giving, it's amazing. But you, through your deck, you address, you know, like new levels of, like new dimensions of reading tarot. And as you mentioned before, like, we evolving as humanity, and our tools need to evolve as well. So you changed and you reframed a lot of things in your deck. So maybe let's start with major arcana. Like, how did you kind of come up with all these different ones? I can show a couple of them, but you can just speak about, you know, just in general. You renamed most of them, but not all of them, but most of them. I love this.
The Cosmic Man is a higher vibrational energy of the Hanged Man. So if you're familiar in traditional tarot, the Hanged Man is upside down, hanging from a tree on the earth. And it's a shift in perception and, you know, where is my place in the world? And here we see the man hanging upside down from strands of DNA from the earth itself into the cosmos. It's really a shift in our perception to a cosmic awareness. Where is my place in the cosmos as opposed to on this plane? And the DNA representing, again, an evolution of consciousness. So it's a really kind of expands upon that archetype of the Hanged Man into a more cosmic perspective.
Yeah, and I love also the DNA as like kind of tying us back to Earth or to the old ways, but also the ability of DNA to be changed, right? And to expand and to shift. And the wonderful devil card, which usually is like kind of, I find it kind of boring because it's usually depicted very like Christian. So I like whenever devil is a little bit like creators challenge it a bit.
Thank you for leading that in, Kasia, because we've had people that would say we would never deal with tarot before because of our Christian background. But this card is totally different because we understand that we have a shadow side, a darker side, and we have to look at that to also better know our light side. So here we have, of course, all these animals that shed skin or come out of their cocoon, as we humans must do too, to find our true selves.
And also, we called it the shadow because shadow doesn't always mean the darker, baser aspects. Sometimes the shadow is what's hidden in the shadow that you can't quite see. Sometimes what's hidden in the shadow is our gifts, our light. And so it really plays on that concept in a broader way than
yeah, just the negative. And also, as tarot readers, and I think whoever will watch it mostly also knows tarot, so from my perspective as a tarot reader for like so many years now, I think every card can be negative and positive. We do tend to think of certain cards in more negative light, like Tower, which I love, or Devil, which I love, or Hierophant, which I love, but they both, like Sun can be very negative if it's too much light, or like, look at me, I'm so fucking amazing, and it's just me on the stage. So every card is on the spectrum between this light and shadow aspects. And I love that because you're so right, like gifts can be in the shadow, your talents, some things that can like, saved you and pushed you through the hardships can be in the shadow if you don't really tap in and make yourself aware of this. So I love this shadow card, this devil card, which is the shadow card. Amazing.
And to your point with that, there's the High Priestess card too, Kasia.
Yeah.
So the High Priestess, we were doing a reading with somebody and she goes like, oh, can I pull another card? Because that one scares me so much. And we go, what scares you in that card? Because that is the question to pose.
So it isn't necessarily that a card is positive or negative, but in a reading, when you're doing a reading, the person's response comes up to a card, and that it can help to allay that or shift that. And the other thing is, when people often come for a reading, they are scared, or they're having a problem, or they're having an issue. You don't need a card that says, oh, you're having an issue.
Yeah.
You need to find some hope, encouragement, solutions, energy, how to direct it so that they can find a solution to what they're asking about.
So exactly. I think we talked about that shortly before people came on. In this deck, the question really is for people to see what are the energies to work with to optimally present themselves that day to tackle whatever they have to tackle. So in the back of and I know I'm going fast, but in the back of the book, the famous 5-pointed star, the spread that we have there with the major arcana card in the center, when there's a card of each of the elements, you can see what the element is that you may be not feeling balanced in. And then you ask thus, what is the card to balance me in these energies? Because the one thing that people forget and is so beautiful in this deck, the elements are not just the elements in nature. We are nature. We are part of nature, and the elements are within us. So if it's in our bone structure, then of course it's in the element of earth. Yeah. When it's in another aspect, we can thus place all the tarot cards in the different elements and thus know where that lives. And when somebody has done some work with any practitioner, then a cathartic moment can come from that, even simply reading the cards. And we have had so many times, not just people saying, because this is very frequent, of course, people saying, I feel so much lighter, and that's super, that's great. The most important thing is, what are people going to do actively after they get a reading. Some people go to a reader and they get a really good reading. And then they go like, oh yeah, and I'll come back 2 weeks later to have another reading. And you go like, what are you going to do with the reading? What are you going to do with the messages that came for you? There is a responsibility. So one of the things we felt strongly with this deck, that there is a responsibility given back to the querent in what am I doing with the energies that are presented for me. Sorry.
And I love it in the book because you do have for each of the cards like this application, which for people is to do some, like actively do something about the reading. They can pick, they can choose, they can use an oil. And I love it every time I, work with cards as well and with a client to do something physical. And I love how Alejandro Jodorowsky, he always with Tarot de Marseille used to do like the psycho magic, like even like the weirdest psychomagical act after the reading, like gives a message that you are ready to change, you want to change, you're open to change, you kind of go for it, like you want to do something about it. And I think it's very, very important. Just maybe one last major and we move on to, like, I love that strength card. Like, how did this come to?
One of my favorite cards in the deck. How did it come into being? That one actually came from a ceremony that I was doing. Just an idea is that when we conceive of a child, they come in as a physical child, but also a spiritual being. And so as women, when we birth that child, the physical umbilical cord is cut, but there's still this spiritual cord connecting. And it should be that way because we're responsible till the child reaches adulthood. So anyway, I've got 4 grown children now, but at one point when they were, moving on to their own, I did a spiritual cord cutting to set them free so they can be complete unto themselves and to pull my energy back to be complete unto myself. Anyway, the strength of women birthing and this image is really the woman there is centered, grounded. She's naked, so she's in her authenticity. She holds each of the elements in her hands. And she's birthing a sense of herself. She's birthing her dreams. She's birthing the world into being. And it comes from this inner strength. We see, from the womb center, the Dantian there, this really power center and the infinite energy of that inner strength. So that was kind of the concepting of that card.
Beautiful. Thank you. So, okay, a lot of majors changed names like Judgment, Realization, World was Universe, and Temperance was Alchemy, etc. So people can take a look. And then for minors, you also changed the names of the suits for all of them, right? Yeah. Can you just maybe mention all the suits? Like what are they? Cups, shells?
And
Shells.
as we just said, we have nature, because nature represents itself very beautifully. And, a lot of other decks are still steeped in something of knights, pages, kings, and queens. We do not live in the Middle Ages. I know they're representations, but we were asked simply to let nature represent herself. And in that way, also, like I said, with reference to the body, to have people have a feeling and a connection with that. So when, of course, earth, stones are the stones.
I didn't prepare this, but okay, just like cups were shells, and then
shells.
Stones were,
well,
I have fire, shells, fire. Stones, where are you, stones? Like a seeker of stones. Okay, stones are pentacles. And then we have
the element of earth.
Yes, exactly. And then fire would be the fire, but in tarot it would be the wands, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then earth, which would be the swords in the tarot. You did, what was it?
Feathers represent represent the element of air.
Yes, and element of air. And here's a question that my friend asked me. She goes, because just digression, like in tarot, usually swords is considered to be the difficult suit, right? Because it's got 3 of swords and I don't know, 10 of swords, 9 of swords, all the swords, 7 of swords. None of them is really like so amazing to, to people. We don't want swords. We want cups, anything else but swords. So when she got the deck, she said like, I'm looking at sword cards and they all positive. Is the deck all like positive? And I thought, I don't see it like this, but I wanted to like convey this question to you because many people may just look at, 7 of swords, balance, 9 of swords or feathers here, higher intellect, 10 of, that's fire, 3 of feathers, 3 of swords, peace. That's the story you were talking about, right? So how did you get there?
Okay, so in the way that the deck is presented with the elements, the element of the suit of feathers represents the element of air. Air is our mental body, and our mental body is our most difficult. All of the major traditions talk about the mastery of the mind. And so it is about being able to direct our thoughts, to be able to focus our thoughts, to be able to rise into that place of higher intellect. So the cards, again, as a tool for transformation, it's not that they're positive or negative. They're a tool for us to use to help in the mastery of the mind, to help in the elevation of the mind, to help in our uplifting of our consciousness.
And so when you held up the first one with balance with the blue jays,
Yes.
so for people, you can easily say like, well, it was like the Buddha when he talked about the middle path. But how easy is that? It's not an easy thing. It's a journey. It's a journey that we're all on. So we have to at times surrender certain things, let go of other things, even fight within ourselves, because the fight is not with somebody else, it's within ourselves, to get to a place of better understanding that, oh yeah, we're shutting somebody out and our emotions got the better of us. So we have to look at those things here and then come to a place where we surrender that, for instance, or indeed learn about what that really means for us. What we love about the balance card with what people know about Blue Jays, they're very vocal. They're very loud, even people would say. Well, that's their voice. That's how they voice themselves. And for people to find their voice, to find the way to express how they, with swords, with feathers, can come to a place that is balanced for them. Doesn't have to be balanced for somebody else.
Of course. So, but when you were creating the cards, because for example, 3 of feathers with peace, right? Okay, you've got the story with the hummingbird, but it like the tarot archetype did play a part, right? Because we know that with 3 of swords, we very often like don't have the peace of mind in most of the swords, but like with 3 of swords, we very also concerned with like pain. And you kind of, Martin, felt pain for this poor hummingbird, right? And then you had to kind of come to peace about it. And I think what you've done with swords is like giving us a way to do the 3 of swords better, or like the 7 of swords better, or like in a way, yeah, like you, Teresina, mentioned, like come to higher intellect, like higher way of expressing that, because we still will be feeling pain, but
yeah. If you look at the 3 of feathers there, what you see in the background is clouds. It is, our mind is sometimes clouded with what is the right choice, what is what is the next step. And so there is this, the clouds that are there, but yet the rainbow is still there. The peace is also a choice. The situation may not change. I may still be going through a difficult situation, but I can choose to walk through it peacefully as opposed to walking through it with anger or with frustration. I can allow that to clear and be able to see the rainbow through the clouds to bring myself that peace of mind.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I never got a when I use the deck, I think that's why I like it, because I would probably scratch it if it was just everything is lovely, because that's not your descriptions. It's very like balanced, and it just seems to be like it's a choice, and you can do it. You can do it. You can see it from another angle. You can see it from another perspective. You can allow it to happen. It happened.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. Like, you can't change that, but you can, maybe sometimes in time, but you can get to the other place with it. And I love those harder cards, the death card, the tower card, like the approach that you took. It's very much broadening and inviting, like, creative approach, inviting your own, like, responsibility for yourself and for how you choose to act. So what about court cards then? Because they altogether different. We're not in the medieval
No.
kings, queens, etc. What did you guys choose for that?
Well, just in general, the court cards, rather than, sometimes court cards are interpreted like a person outside yourself, a man is going to come into your life, or a woman is going to guide, or whatever. And we chose to have the court cards be more about our, once we go through the suit cards, the day-to-day experiences, the court cards are the mastery of that element. And so they start out as a seeker. You put out your intention of what you would like to learn or understand or grow or expand into. That's the position of the seeker. And as they say, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. So once you put that intention out there, then you go through some type of an initiation. You become an initiate. And through that initiation, some types of transformation occurs where there's new gift or new insight or new wisdom. So then what do you do with that? You have to put it into practice as the apprentice. And so you begin to master that, to put it into practice with the sacred responsibility of accepting that understanding, so that you can become the fullest expression of that element, the mentor of that element, the elementor. And so it is a progression. And yet when you get to the elementor, you go to a deeper level of understanding. And so you start again.
Spiral.
It's the spiral. And that's a beautiful part that we got. And yes, I'm jumping a bit. You asked us before, but it's important in this part. On the corners of the major arcana, we sidestepped that a bit, are the symbols. Well, a lot of these symbols for the symbols of the astrological signs, but also there's the 11-11, 12-12, and 13-13. We received those, and we were told by, at that moment, Standing L, Golden Eagle, that we could use them. But the Lakota Sioux, had received them in Sweat Lodge, these signs, these symbols, and there were cosmic signs, the cosmic laws, cosmic and universal laws. And so in the beautiful part, in all these symbols on the cards, even the Mayan symbols, our friend Miguel Angel Vergara, whom we traveled with for 20 years, he was our guide in journeys that we had with people in the Mayan lands. When we came to him with this question, he says, oh my gosh, we don't have to fit anything. It is just right there. All these cards, all these major arcana cards. Look at this. This is the Fool. This is that. And we didn't have to make it fit, not with one or not with the other symbols that were on the corners of the cards.
So this is just for people who may not know what we are talking about, but if you've got, let's say, Temperance card, which here is the Alchemy card. So in tarot, association to astrology is the Sagittarius, of course. And then we have this like hamburger, two piece of bread. Like what is this one, Martin?
Freedom of all. Freedom of all. That's one of the star symbols.
And what would be the star symbols? That's like because I see, like, you guys can find all of this, of course, in the book, right? But in general, like the star symbols, because I thought, oh, maybe they have to do with the stars, but they don't have to do with the stars. They're more like the universal laws, I think, right? That's what you said.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But there is a planetary sign. So the planetary sign that's there is the first one, left top. Then the star symbol on the right top.
Yeah.
The Mayan glyph on the
Bottom.
left,
Mhm.
and on the right side is the symbol of Mu, and Mu is of course the motherland, as also known. And what that also says, when you look at the planetary sign and the star symbol, it's the higher echelon of our beingness, and the mind glyphs and the Mu, it's more that which grounds us and what comes from the past, present, future, like all these things that are in threes, all these things that are always returning to us when the Quran comes. We can do the simple 3-card spread, and that's why it's so beautiful. But in these symbols too, we saw this alignment beautifully come together. And again, very grateful for all the parts that helped, and our friend Miguel Angel, who helped with that. But he said, there it is. And would you want to add something to that? No.
I have a question here from
Sure.
someone. I haven't read it yet, but may I ask which tarot system was the main one in your mind when you were creating this deck, like Marseille, Rider-Waite-Smith, Thoth, or is it a mixture of all of them or none of them? Did you even think about it, or
We
we
had
just think Rider-Waite-Smith as tarot, that's it?
we had both done tarot for many years, and so we have a knowledge of basic and the truth of tarot. That is a wonderful system, and what we were asked to create steps a bit away from that. And some people have said it's more a divination deck, but listen here. There are the major arcana. We have the suit cards and the court cards. We have the structure of tarot. We have, even within the major arcana, everything still lines up in that same way. We were asked to
upgrade. Yeah, upgrade.
Yeah.
And mainly to incorporate the fifth element, because we have fire, water, air, earth in traditional tarot. They're represented, but ether is the fifth element. And without ether, that alchemy isn't really complete. And some people may say, well, the major arcana is the ether, but that's not really so. Each of the major arcana in traditional decks are associated with one of the other 4 elements. So the ether element really represents consciousness, that which connects everything in between. And so it is necessary for the alchemy to bring the wholeness of that together. And so those 5 elements that we represent in nature as elements represent our spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, and soul body. And so again, it brings it into a more holistic presentation.
Because you're interested also in essential oils, you know, for the longest time, people have had questions about where is really essential oil transported within our body. Because when you put a drop of lavender under your feet, in seconds, it reaches your brain, other senses, other parts of your body. And they say, well, it's not the bloodstream, it's not this, it's not that. But again, a lot of times we separate ourselves from nature, we separate ourselves from the truth of who we are. We're spiritual beings in a physical environment, in a physical body that we're experiencing this life through. But first of all, we're this beautiful spiritual essence. We are this light body, and within the light body, that essence travels. Essential oils showed us that, but also other things have shown us that. Just recently, it's a bit of a different story. They did never know how the lymph system worked. So we're still learning, even medically, how certain things work. So let us please continue to evolve in these ways. And we always say, let's, look out for the next fifth or anything else that comes along.
But let's go back to essential oils for 1 second.
Okay.
So you are an aromatherapist, right? You love oils. And I was just so pleased because I have a love affair with oils for a very long time. And right now I'm like doTERRA crazy without being sponsored. Nobody sponsors me, but I just checked a lot of different oils. I'm just like, I love the oils, okay? But my point is that like whenever I read, those applications, because that's where you guys can find information, how did you pick the oils? Was it purely intuitively, or did you like, I don't know, I don't even know if there's any research between major arcana and essential oils, but how did you do it?
It's a mix of both. I did a long study with essential oils in the Netherlands at a Mediator school, and thanks still to this day to Thea van Bokhoven for all her wonderful teachings. But there are some books. Actually, a German writer, Martin Krause, has a part where he references, yes, tarot cards and essential oils. But for some, it was really the intuition speaking, saying this is the oil that goes with that. And then I did at some point create a major arcana oil set that and a 5 elements set. And still some people can get that.
Yeah. Oh, cool, cool.
At the moment, it's a bit harder because we are now living in France. And I did recently bring pretty much all the oils that I have had here. It's still not so that I wish to retreat that people can get the information they can make in themselves. Gladly, I'll share the information because it's just that. It's information, and what it's about is that the people have the experience and the oils are the oils. And like you're saying, I'm also happy with doTERRA and other bigger names in essential oils because they got out to more people. And then,
yeah, and also I'm not sure what it is, but like the quality of some oils, like, I would, believe me, rather buy cheaper oils than doTERRA, who pays also for, like we know MLM, like all these structures, right? But I love the oils. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. Am I like a victim to the marketing stuff? Like, what the fuck is going on? Because I checked, like, I had so many different oils over the years, so many different brands. And yes, Young Living, also wonderful oils, but I don't know what it is about doTERRA. It's just like, love the vibration. I love the energy of it. I just in love.
and the vibration and energy is really what it's about. And of course, when we know, for instance, rose essential oil has the highest vibrational energy of any flower essence in nature. And where is rose used for? It's used at weddings, it's used at also funerals. And I use that reference mainly because, at weddings, it's like everybody be in your heart space, be in that space, but also at funerals, not just be in that heart space. Don't think about other things. Now it's about what is going on here. Stay in your heart space.
Yeah.
Because there are other things oftentimes at play in some people's minds, but it's important to stay in that heart. So rose is the oil, of course, that goes with that. But in many ways, the vibration of oils and what you said, the quality is very, very important. If you go into a store and let's say Walmart in the United States, and you have an oil of rose that's $5 and it's the same price as everything else, run away very fast because it's not possible. We know how much petals
goes into making it. Yeah, exactly.
Kilograms of that. I did create essential oils myself when we lived in California. I had a big still.
Oh.
A labor of love, and you cannot really put that in words of dollars. But when we created a pine of just flowering tops of pine, that pine was something so special. Like you said, the vibration was something like, oh,
yeah.
Would I use it? Of course you use it. When it's gone, but you have had that experience, and that's what it got you. But
yeah, wow. No, I love that. And I actually very often use the suggestions sometimes, because I always tune in with myself as well. Sometimes I might not agree with the one you picked, but then I will pick another one. But just the idea of adding it's so amazing and most of the time, to be honest, I do love your picks and I kind of resonate as well with those. So I'm like, oh, so excited about this. There's another question. So just before we go to we're going to be talking about the lotus suit next, okay? But there's one more question from Mystic Garden. How can we use these Mayan glyphs in real life? So probably like right now, not like thinking Mayan past. Is there any practice, something like runes, etc.? Is there anything like, would you use it? Like if you use the deck, do you actually look at, but to be honest, I don't often look at the symbols if I use the deck, but sometimes when I want to go deeper, I would go and read everything, whatever I can find on the card, if something like moves me. But like normal reading, I probably wouldn't just go to every Mu symbol and Mayan symbol and this. I would just focus on what's like in the book and how I feel about it. But what do you think about those Mayan glyphs in real life?
Well, in the work that we've done with the Mayan elders and even like the Mayan calendars, the glyphs represent vibration and energy. And so they carry a certain energy with them. So the symbol itself, just like the astrological symbol, it's information. It tells you a characteristic and energy. You could work with it by, drawing it, tracing it as you're doing that, meditating with that. What does it say to you? Maybe do something in the sand or in the dirt and make that image, or on your forehead and make that image, and just contemplate the wisdom that glyph represents.
And then when Chichan on the shadow card, which says hidden message, what is behind I see, that's what that message says, what it means. But we say it in a short, simple sentence. Our friend Miguel creates whole experiences with people for a symbol. And so you can go just to say something that we can do today, do a mantra with the name. The mantras, the names mean and have an energy. Do those mantras. Repeat that. Start slower, go faster, start slower. Let that vibrate in your being and feel what that does for you. Like I mentioned, or like we mentioned, our friend Miguel, when we say something, we say that, it was written. But guess what? The Maya, they have not just one calendar, they have got 19 calendars. Those 19 calendars are not separate. They are an intricate web of gears that move and work together. And there are still day keepers to this day who know how to read all these 19 calendars. And it's not really in the Western sense a calendar. It's an energetic vibration of how we best, again, align ourselves with what we are faced with today. So in the question, what can we do with that? Use the vibration of Chichan or for Etznaat, or use and work with that vibration or the mantra or whatever that's with that, and let that guide you through the day. Let that physically guide you for the day, and ask, okay, what is my message with this? Because I am not getting. So it's a good question, because oftentimes it is like, let us ask a clear question so we can get a clear answer. It is really important to ask these good questions. So bravo. It's important to understand what we physically do. Teresina was once doing a class in Taiwan, and they were asking her a similar question. What is it that we can do with this for? And she was doing a class for all medical professionals.
It was a psychiatric practitioners that I was doing the training for. And then we had some breakout groups, and anyway,
So,
yeah, sometimes it also depends on the culture, right? Because I know that in Asian culture, like I often go to Thailand, and I always make sure I go to some like practitioners, for tarot reading or whatever. In Burma, I was for like palm readings, etc., etc., just to see. And they said, like, even I have friends in Thailand who said like that in the West we do it differently, because in Thailand now they kind of are more interested in psychological aspects. They want to learn more about that, because the divination there is very much predictive, like practical. This is the best day to, I don't know, get married, buy house, whatever. But I think a lot of my friends now from Thailand are a bit like, that's a bit boring now, because they want to just like use tarot as, like self-development tool, and like tool for projection as well. Like when we can work with the whatever we project onto the image, right? So it's very much depending on where people are coming from. And I think I would imagine Taiwan would be probably a little bit more similar for like yeah, give me a meat here. Like, what
Yes.
can I do
Oh, yeah,
with
yeah.
it today?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
So
interesting.
the Lotus cards, let's go there because
Let's go there.
the Lotus cards are such an amazing representation of
So
our.
I would just, before you go, Martin, I'm very, very sorry. Just, would you suggest that like they all connect into a story? Would you tell us a story of Lotus cards? So could we start with like, Ace and go like we did with just for one sentence even, just so people can maybe tune in. And if you guys are here, just take a deep breath, tune in because it's the spiritual element. So Teresina, if you can lead us.
Sure.
Show.
So the ones are the raw potential. Everything that's going to unfold in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 10 is held in the one. So here we see the essence. This suit, this essence of Lotus, the ether element, is expansion. It's our expansion of consciousness, the expansion of our heart. You see, again, a symbol representing the golden strand of DNA, and then the fully opened lotus. So there is this connection, this alignment from the heart and the third eye and up above in the stellar gateway that is this expansion that opens up to new gifts. The second card shows 2 interlocking hearts and then connected with the lemniscate, the figure 8. The word on there is empathy, but it really represents any aspect that we connect with another through the heart. Empathy, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentient, compassion. And so once we open the heart in that way, we can also expand into our multidimensional being. The 5th element suit of ether represents our multidimensionality. So here we can see different levels of consciousness, different planes of existence, and the flow, the connectivity of these different ways of being. And so then as we approach the midpoint, as we approach the 5 and the 4, we begin to get some clarity, recrystallization, the clarity of our soul's calling, of our soul purpose, of our unique expression. A snowflake has its own unique pattern in the ocean of consciousness. And so there are these lotus buds ready to open into this expression of our unique soul expression. And so then the 5s are that shape-shifting, it's the changing. So now I have this awareness of my soul essence, my true self. Now is the morphing, the shifting, the changing, shaping of my true soul being in this lotus, the ether element. And so in order to do that, we recognize we're not different or separate. We're part of the one, in the oneness. 6s always have that real balance of love, peace, beauty, harmony, grace. And so here in the ether element, in our connectivity, in our consciousness, it's our oneness with all that is. And so in that oneness, again, we have our divine blueprint. What are we here to contribute? What are we here to express? What is our path to walk? What is our gift to express and create? And so we have the open lotuses at the different chakra points, the energy flowing and moving in this expression of our divine blueprint.
Love this card.
Yeah. And so now in the 2 preceding cards, we had the oneness, we had our unique divine blueprint. Now is the interconnectivity of our uniqueness and with the whole. And so this card in that interconnectedness is all the magical synchronicities of our connection with our planetary and cosmic family and multidimensionality and how that is all aligned. And so from this interconnectedness, we can transcend, we can rise above in this, I'm not going to say new age, I'm going to say this new era. We are evolving in consciousness. We are transcending what has been, coming to a higher vibrational resonance as human beings, as human luminous beings. And so it does take us to that place of enlightenment, self-awareness, self-enlightenment of our oneness that is not separate from our personal expression, our soul path that is part of the all, everything, and how we come from that original source of light, life, love, and law. So,
And if I asked you, thank you so much for that. And if I asked you about the symbol of the pearl, do you did you research any of this? Is there anything that comes to mind? I'm just asking for my personal stuff because I have some stories coming up with a pearl, and I'm just curious if you maybe have
the
something
pearl.
Pearl is like, yeah, the pearl. I'm not, yeah, is this a pearl or moon or whatever? But like, yeah, a pearl.
I said it can be whatever you perceive it to be, a pearl, a moon, a crystal sphere. It represents luminosity, light, the jewel of the lotus, the
Pearl of wisdom.
pearl of wisdom.
So it is that, and it contains all of that. When we reach that moment of enlightenment, oftentimes people say it's also when our third eye becomes completely activated. There is this blue luminous essence that pervades, but also a essence of clarity, and that all kind of divisions disappear. We are one with all in that oneness and in that universal essence. So the pearl of wisdom really is that we have reached a point where we can commune with our divine selves to understand our place in things and to get back to that space whenever we can. Because like you said, we're not always sitting in lotus position doing all kinds of things. We have our physical work, we have our physical other things to stay well in our day-to-day life. And so we have to stay with those things too.
Yeah, and maybe we can go quickly through the court cards as well, just for people.
Sure.
So the court cards were like you changed them to represent levels of mastery, and we have the Seeker of Lotus.
We start as the seeker, again, wishing to more fully understand this aspect of the soul body. So it's represented with the 3 lotuses there, and the dragonfly is the lifter of the veil, the lifter of illusions to open the heart and expand consciousness. So that's the symbolism on that.
And there's
Yeah.
oh, and why Amma? Did you go and see her as well?
We've
Many times,
seen
yes.
Amma many times. It represents at the feet of the master to really connect with our soul self. We have to surrender and let go of the ego self, the small self, really letting go. It's a surrender to the soul's true calling, to surrender to that great mystery that sometimes is even beyond our comprehension, to surrender and trust.
So a beautiful story, Kasia, if I may. We had gone many times, and 2 things. First, what we took away with that, from that, many experiences, but is that she always said, whatever religion you have, trust your religion, trust your faith, trust what you are strong in. She was never about changing people in anything. The second part of that, it's about love. The second part is one time my dad, who since passed, went along with us in 's-Hertogenbosch, and he was in his 3-piece suit in this whole crowd with people, as you've seen, pretty much presented differently. And he would walk around, and at some point he sits down in front of us, and I saw the tears stream down his face, and he didn't know what happened. And another lady says, oh, I would wish I could take my dad or mom here for such an experience. And later on, he says, I don't know what it was. I just felt that she is doing good things. And there was a lot of emotion that came out from him, and he was ready for that. So not to make it more or less, it was an amazing experience, and it was lovely to share that with him at that time. So
that's very moving. Thank you.
It's a wonderful thing. So that was the initiate card. So then we have the after that we have the apprentice. And in the apprentice, Teresina was mentioning before, we gain a new clarity on our path to master whatever we are learning. And this is the part of the soul, right? So when we have the consciousness, so when we've mastered the level of consciousness, then we are also ready to share that. There is a gift and a responsibility with that. You can't just say to people certain things, because you have the responsibility then for their health and well-being too. When you share that, you have, again, the responsibility to do that in a way of fluidity, but also to what they're really ready for. We're not.
And this is the like connotation to Mayan, to the 13 skulls, or and this is a Mayan pyramid here, right? Because it looks like a hat from far away. I'm just going to maybe bring it closer.
It's a nice hat.
Yeah.
It's a nice hat.
Yeah, the Mayan were masters of cosmic knowledge, cosmic wisdom, and the crystal skulls, yes, people associate them with the Mayas, and there are crystal skulls on almost every continent around the planet. They represent, again, that higher consciousness and a resonance of a higher frequency, and then also the loss of the ego, you know.
And the memory, I think, as well, right? Like that they...
Yes, absolutely. Very much so.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And, you know, for those people that don't know much about that, they have done real good research at Harvard and other institutions, Hewlett-Packard even, with the Mitchell-Hedges skull, with other skulls. And I have found amazing things. And just, again, because we have encountered this, we were traveling with Ophelia, who is a crystal skull that Teresina was given to be a guardian for. And at a airport, the person at then the TSA moved it across the thing 3 times, and we go like, what is it that you're seeing? He says, do you have a beating heart in that case? And we go like, can we see what you're seeing? Because he thought there was a beating heart in that case, because it had that pulsing vibration.
Wow.
So
that's cool.
I mean, that was a person we didn't know. He had this thing that he saw.
Yeah.
So it's just neat stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome story. Especially when it comes from, you know, like not at the conference for like spiritual people. Like it's just like, what is yeah, that's really cool. And then the last one is the Elementor.
Yeah. So this depicts a being called a Hathor, which are interdimensional beings that communicate through sound and light. So again, it's a higher vibrational frequency, and there's a star language written in her hair. And the message, I know it pretty much by heart. It says, beloved ones, abide in love, reside in peace, live in harmony, remain in oneness. In all things, I am. And I think when we get to the mastery of the soul body, of the ether element of consciousness, we realize how much distraction, how much these other things don't matter. And so this is helping us to focus on really the true essence of life and love.
Yep.
Wow, that's beautiful. And I thought like this prayer would be such a great way to like round up our conversation. I have a couple of messages here that so glad I caught this session. Wonderful hearing from the creators of the system and being enlightened about the deck, and really enjoying this conversation. If anybody has still any questions, I know there's a little bit of a delay. Please ask now or be silenced forever. I'm joking, but
and so to bring it to something, we still have the deck available. We can ship from the United States, and we ship here in Europe. People really have to look on the page. I don't know why PayPal sometimes matches things up, but there's a drop.
I will link it. I will link it below. Yeah.
Right. Perfect. There's a drop down for Europe. There's a drop down for Australia. So they have to look where they are located, because otherwise, unfortunately, PayPal does not really always catch that. But there are decks available. And at the moment, the decks come in a lovely pouch, velvet pouch. And the cards have that gold trimmed rim now.
Yeah.
And
I wanted to ask you also about the bags, the quincunx thing. Maybe we still, before the prayer, maybe Teresina at the end, please remember to close with the prayer, because it was so beautiful. And then like maybe just this, because I'm an astrologer as well, right? But like I've got this old deck from an artist called Carol Herzer, and she, for her quincunx, she says it's quantum leap as a kind of like a keyword, and that's how she depicted it. But like, why did you choose this one for the bugs?
The quincunx, because it's the fifth tarot, but the quincunx is oneness coming from all, oneness coming from all directions, and the oneness is in the center again. And these are known as quincunx, but also a knot, a Celtic knot, and there is a double Celtic knot, and they're found anywhere in the world on old buildings, this sacred sites. They're found pretty much on any continent. So what was it that people created this symbol, the quincunx, the unending knot, and that represented so much of the energies that we're working with? And for us, go ahead, sweetie.
Well, it is another aspect of oneness, the interconnectedness of everything. And I'm just going to mention it, we didn't really have time to talk about it, but as you look through the deck, there are several cards that do incorporate sacred geometries in many different ones. And also just our personal experience, having read with this deck for many years now with many, many people, for some reason, the numerology with these cards is phenomenal, more so than any deck I've ever worked with before. You'll find numbers repeating, you'll find sequences, you'll find summations, you'll find multiplications, you'll find, I mean, it's really pretty astounding.
and to this day, of course, and people may not believe that, but we still use this deck on a daily basis. We do a 13 moon spread for the year. We do birthday spreads. We live by that, knowing like, honey, what card am I in again? My gosh, I thought so because this is what's going on. So that it's really a grounding touchstone for what is going on for us. So yeah, we use it very much.
Maybe we should each pull a card and do like a 3-card spread for everybody who's live in the chat. We're not going to maybe pick a singular person, but just like do a common spread, 3 of us, each of us 1 card, and we can just like get, a common message from 3 voices. I'm going to shuffle my deck as well. And if you guys in the chat have this deck, because there was a question from Winds of Reflection, can we find this deck anywhere? Yes. We will mention again before we say goodbye, if we ever do. Maybe we... It seems like, and this one, and... but yes, all the links to the website will be under the chat. But if you go and just, I Googled before the chat, the 5th element, your website comes up, and I mean, not the 5th element, the 5th tarot, and your website comes up with the shop, or you can guys do it right now as well, but you can wait and get a direct link.
And if people have still questions, please write us an email. We're very accessible people. Just write us. I have to apologize even. We were just traveling back to the United States to visit our kids. And in that intermittent traveling 2 days, right, we got orders in, and 2 of these orders just fell in between the cracks, and I got them out after that. But that was the first time in 13 years, I think, that we have the deck that we missed sending a deck out. So that it still happened, and I have received them now. But the thing is, with this, for having done it so many years now, we are very glad that we have a shipper in the United States, Pixie's Intent. Jewel sends these decks out. We thank her greatly. And all the many people at those meetups that we have met over the years that have been great representatives, also for the 5th tarot, but really for the energies of that love and light to continue.
Yeah, Winds of Reflection said, found the website, thank you. And so, guys, for you in the chat, we're going to each pull a card. Martin will pull one, Teresina will pull one, and I will pull one. And it's going to be a message for all of us. Okay, what did you guys get? Okay. I got Universal Dream.
I have Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, and this is what's the keywords, Martin?
Expression, the 8 of Stones, and it's got these wonderful turquoise stones that they're being fashioned into jewelry. And of course, it is how we work with our essence, our expression, whatever your expression is in daily life, to work with that and really apply your gifts in life. Be the expression of your truth and whatever that is to express that. Peter?
Oh, so I have the Wheel of Fortune, and I'm going to put my own little spin on it. The Wheel of Fortune, in general, to me is always an auspicious card, good fortune, longevity, prosperity, something coming full circle, coming a new beginning. But what I like about this card is it doesn't just happen to us. We see the all-seeing eye. There's a part of destiny or fate or whatever, but there's two people. There's one person here and one person here, and they're assisting, they're turning the wheel. So it's a co-creative process, the Wheel of Fortune, and how we create in our life our path. It's a co-creative process with the oneness, the everything, the synchronicities, our fate, our destiny, but also our active participation in that.
Beautiful. Martin, if you could put up your cards, because when I was looking at the three of them, there was this Wheel of Fortune between this expression and I thought we have to have this pause with the universal mind, this usually it's Four of Swords, right? So we get to our expression through dream world, through visions, through reading, through resting, through sleeping. And I feel like somehow it's interesting how that could also represent all these planets changing signs, that we go from all this Pisces energy of envisioning and tuning in, and in tropical astrology, we're moving from Pisces into Aries with Saturn and Neptune, and how it goes through this change. The wheel is turning into that expression when you have a bit more red, a bit more action, a bit more, manifest your dreams and visions. I thought it's kind of a nice depiction of all of this.
A very nice way of bringing that together, Kasia, and your four, any of the fours are a new foundation. Just think of the four sides of a pyramid. They're the new foundation upon which you can build through using your expression because this is an earth-bound card, a card really to bring into the earth. And then, of course, the Wheel of Fortune also, it's manifesting that through your actions. Like you said, we've got to use our gifts in those actions and move the wheel.
And with the four that you have there, universal dream, what we collectively are dreaming into being, and all the participants today watching this, there's a shift, something shifts for each of us in what we perceive of the information and the images that are presented here tonight. So I'd really be interested to hear what anybody dreams tonight and what we are choosing in our conscious intent to dream into being.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. And it's wonderful to also think of this universal dream as common for all of us here, let's say, and also our personal, and how we can bring it as express it later on. That's really cool. Everybody loves that. Eva pulled magician cards on top of this, so I think it goes very well with the expression that Martin pulled, right? Yeah. And also with that change of energy into Aries, it's go and do.
Yes.
Yeah. Be the magician. Yes.
Yeah, be the magician, exactly. Be the magician. So the decks can be purchased, just to be clear for everybody. They can be purchased, they're available. I've got this first edition. The second edition is available now with golden edges, with the bag and with the book. You find it on the website. I will link it all below. You can just click and it will take you to the website. Or if you're impatient and you want to do it now, thefifthtarot.com, and you find it there. People can also maybe sign up for a reading with you, Teresina. You do readings as well. I saw it on the website as well, so everything is on the website.
Yes.
We both do readings, and we have this wonderful space here in the south of France. We also do retreats for people, and it's not necessarily all about tarot, but the retreat is simply for people to stop, breathe,
Yeah.
relax. And in that time, we will do readings with people. We might even do some session work together if that's what
And
they're choosing.
ceremonies
And
with the
ceremony with the
elements.
elements, yes.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. So this would be advertised on the website as well when it's happening, or do you have any other channels where the best connect with you?
That is actually through Beacons of Love, which is also us, of course. But it's I
There's
think
a link.
there's a link on the fifth row also that says something about the retreats that we do.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So there we go. Anything else you would want to add before the prayer and closing?
Just to thank you for hosting us, for giving the opportunity to share. You can tell we're always enthusiastic about it. And thank you to all the people that tuned in for this as well.
Because we did call you after we got quite a couple of orders, and I go like, where did these orders come from? So I asked the people, how did you connect? And it was through your lovely podcast that you had.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
Thank you.
Yeah, I get a lot of decks for review, but as I always mention, because I'm not this type of reviewer who just gets decks to show because I want the decks. I only show decks that I love. I'm not showing all the decks. I'm showing the decks that I want, that I love, that I use, that I think that are important to me. And also people who I invite for conversations that like I have to resonate with these people or with their products or something. Like I'm not just talking to everybody, because I'm sure there's other people who will connect to other people, but these are my people. So I think it comes through as like honest, like I don't want to bullshit anybody. Like this is something I like and I want to show it and I want to share it and I want to introduce it to people. And if somebody resonates, wonderful. So good to hear. And Teresina, close it for us, please, with this beautiful prayer. I even would love to show the card as well on our shuffled, unless you guys have it on the. Let me just find this. I find the Elementor, okay? Because that was the Hathor, right?
Yes.
And let me just look for it. Apprentice, Initiate, and where are you, Hathor? She lets us wait. So you guys take a couple of deep breaths. And Hathor is coming. She's here.
And then it's good to take a couple of nice deep breaths to get into a place of stillness, to really hear the message from the Hathors for you. Beloved ones, live in harmony, abide in love, reside in peace, remain in oneness. In all I am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody also says thank you. And yeah. Oh, Lisa says that yeah, she totally bought the deck because she saw me talking about it years ago. Okay. Thank you everyone who has been here with us, and thanks for being chatty in the chat, and everybody appreciates you. I appreciate you a lot. Thank you so much. I'm going to, as I mentioned, link everything below, and maybe we see each other another time for another chat. We might go into an element or a one card or something, just go deep, explore, who knows. It was lovely to meet you. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching, and for everybody who will rewatch. Enjoy it, and I hope you did. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Finish YouTube.